Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a special edition of the Warriors Den. For those of you who are joining us from Ubisoft, welcome. This is the Warriors Den. We're usually live on Thursdays, and today we are doing a reveal of the latest season of For Honor, Year 4, Season 3, Resistance. A little disclaimer that we are pre-recorded. It is September 3rd where we are. To my left is the wonderful Clarissa Armada, my colleague. How are you today?
I'm doing really awesome today. I'm really excited for the show. But how are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing fantastic, and I think we're getting better at this, looking through this virtual lens thing.
Yes.
We've done this recordings from home quite a bit now, so we're getting better at them. But yeah, super excited. We've got so much to talk about. Of course, now we've revealed that the season is Year 4, Season 3, Resistance. This is Year 4, Year of Reckoning of For Honor. So for those of you who are not necessarily accustomed to For Honor, you'll learn a lot of stuff today. And for those of you who are coming back, we've got a lot of exciting things to talk about. But before we get into it, we've got one piece of news that we want to discuss, right?
Yes, that is correct. So to start off the show, we wanted to announce that For Honor has reached 25 million players.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yes, this is an amazing achievement, and on behalf of the dev team, thank you so much to you, our players, our community. We couldn't have done it without you, and of course, we're going to keep the ball rolling. We still have a lot of stuff to cover. It's not the end.
That is correct, and just to echo that sentiment, we are super excited, and it's a huge milestone for us, the dev team, and we're really happy to be getting into our 4th year. You know, it's been such a long journey on For Honor, and today is just another step of the evolution of this game from 4 years ago. So we're going to get into all that stuff. Of course, for those of you back at home that are watching on Twitch or YouTube and stuff like that, we do have some rewards on Twitch, but let's start off with Azurus. What can you tell people that don't know about Azurus for today's stream?
Yes, so Azurus is a rewarding platform to reward you, our viewers. So basically how it works is you will see a red dot or a red button on the stream. When you click it, it will ask you to authenticate your Twitch account if you haven't. If you already have done it, you're already ahead of the game. If you haven't, it's just a quick click. And basically throughout the show, there will be questions popping up based on the show. So it's very important that you pay attention. And it's going to be multiple choice. When you get those answers correct, you will get credits called Ubis. And you can use those credits to redeem For Honor rewards such as XP boosts, scavenger crates, champion statuses, etc. And you can redeem those at forhonorgame.com/redeem. But of course, on top of the Azurus extension on our Warriors Den, we also want to remind you guys that we do have an Azurus creator program where you can have this extension for your stream to have a more interactive time with your chat. So basically, questions from the game will pop up, even questions about your gameplay as the streamer. So it's pretty cool. And so you can find out all about that on Azurus.io. On top of Azurus, we also have Twitch drops. Basically, everybody who watches the show for at least 30 minutes will receive 1 scavenger crate, but that's just the beginning. Every 10 minutes throughout the show, a handful of lucky viewers will be randomly selected to receive 100,000 steel. Now, it's very important to know that the drops notification is delayed 24 hours to allow full processing for Twitch and Ubi. So if you don't get a notification today, that is normal. You just need to wait a little bit until tomorrow.
Yeah, that is correct. And again, we know that we want to get into the details of the show. We have a couple of housekeeping things that we wanted to get out of the way. And the last thing on that topic in terms of housekeeping is with regards to the actual patch notes that have to do with Year 4 Season 3. So some of you may notice that it will be considered 2.22, and you might be asking yourself, well, what happened to 2.21? Well, the real thing that happened is way above my pay grade in terms of understanding, so I'm not going to get into it. It was a submission thing, a technical error. Obviously, we're not skipping it out on content. It's just a question of technical reasons that it's called 222 as opposed to 221. But that being said, guys, we've got a huge show for you. Again, for those of you who are coming from Ubisoft, those of you coming back, we got a lot to talk about for Year 4 Season 3 Resistance, which starts next week. Let's start with the story trailer for this new upcoming season. Let's get it.
Maybe the warmongers were right. Maybe we were foolish to hope for more. Maybe we deserve to be punished. It would be easier to give up and let them decide our fate. But we won't. Because it only takes a spark to start a rebellion.
And there you have it, folks, your first taste of Year 4 Season 3 Resistance. A huge shout out to Mathilde and Seb from our team that worked on that with Helix. And for us to talk about more details regarding this new season, we've got some very special guests. We have Elise, Nicolas, and René to talk about everything. First and foremost, guys, welcome to the show. How are you guys today?
Great.
Awesome. Okay, let's get into it right away. I want to just give some context to people that might be joining For Honor a little bit later into the party and maybe missed last season, but we're coming off a pretty dark season in Tyranny. Obviously, the warmongers introduced themselves. There's corruption that's spreading. There's Draconite that's being used for the forces of evil. All of these things. And now, as we saw in the trailer, we kind of have this spark that's going to give us a little bit of hope in the continent of Heathmore. So, Nico, before we get more into the lore aspect of things, what can players expect in terms of content for this season?
Well, I mean, before going into content directly, we're moving along, we're moving forward with the journey that we started. So, as you said, we are moving away from tyranny, and now exploring the theme of resistance, where we're going to start seeing heroes sort of organizing across factions to resist the Order of Horkos led by the Warmongers. So we're going to see that throughout the event that we're introducing this season called Tales of Rebellion. But more on that later with Elise, Will, and Yuri. What you can expect with Season 15 is obviously introduction of a new battle pass with new content themed around the visual of the season. There's also going to be new gear and variations, some of them being featured in the beautiful artwork that we have for season 3 Resistance that was made by Red71. It's a big shout out to him and the marketing team on our side who handled all of that. So that's pretty much Season 15 in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so what are some of the elements that stand out for you in this season?
In terms of content, as always, we're bringing in new things and modifying what we already have. So on maps this season, we have a bunch of changes on Sentinel and other maps. Ed will be introducing that alongside with Alex, who will be showing us the new ranked 1v1 arena that is Wulin themed. In terms of UI, we keep the improvements coming. One that will be particularly exciting for you guys is Team ID, because it's going to allow us to completely open up the customization channels. So stay tuned for that. Audrey will come on the show to explain all the details about that exciting change.
Yes, Team ID is really, really exciting. It's also one of my favorite points of the show. But before we go into more details about the season, we recently did some patches, or released actually the Core Combat update and also the Warmonger not too long ago. And so like I said before, we also released some patches right after. So can you touch upon the topic and give context to those who aren't aware of what's going on?
Absolutely. So we had this CCU update and Warmonger that came in at S14 TU2. Regarding CCU, we knew it was a complex topic from the moment we started the testing round a few months ago, which is why when we released this new content on TU2, we had a lot of the team focused on that particular matter, looking at data, looking at feedback. So we put all this effort onto this to be as reactive as possible. And today, after we released our second patch, what we're seeing is that both from the data side and the community feedback side, things are moving in the right direction. We're in a much better spot than we were on release. So the patch, again, we tweaked stamina values, we tweaked damage, and we tweaked the corruption functionality so that the Warmonger fits where that power band was adjusted. Today, we seem to be in a much better spot. We're not necessarily done yet. We want you to keep the feedback coming. And we obviously thank you very much for your patience. This is something that is very important to us. We want the game to be in the best shape it can be for S15, because this is the season where we want to introduce and kickstart our first competitive season.
Yes, and the competitive season that Nico's talking about is the For Honor Dominion series, which we first announced in the beginning of year 4. So the reason why we're saying that this season, year 4, season 3, is very important is because the Dominion series, we are happy to announce, will begin this season, but it will be closer to TU2, so it won't be during the beginning of the season. So I'm going to quickly touch upon this topic. So previously we mentioned that there's going to be 4 weeks of online pools in each region for NA and EU. And a side note that the Dominion series is on PC only. And there's an online qualifier, and then it's supposed to lead up to an offline final, which will comprise of the best EU teams and the best NA teams to face off to be crowned the For Honor champion. Due to the global situation, the Dominion series will continue, but it will actually be all online this time. What this means is that because everything will be online, NA will have their own finals, EU will have their own finals. So this inaugural season will be composed of the following. It's still the 4 weeks of online open pools in each region, which is open to everyone. It's still one online qualifier with 4 regions in each, with 4 teams in each region. And that's based off of how you performed in open pools. And we also included another path to finals, which is the last chance qualifiers, or also known as LCQ. So if you didn't make it through the pools or through the qualifiers, you still have one more chance to compete in the LCQ to participate in the online finals, which will be also comprised of 4 teams in each region. So more details on everything you need to know, including the rule set, how to participate, will come within the following weeks, along with the signups, which will happen on Battlefy. So tune in to the following weeks, and we're really excited to see what people can bring to the battlefield.
Yeah, and it's super exciting news, and I know for yourself, Clarissa, that it's been something that you guys have been wanting to launch since the beginning, and of course, with the global context, things have changed.
Yeah.
And as somebody that was super involved in the competitive community from the get-go, even before you joined our team as a community member, it's super exciting. But let's get back to year 4, season 3, and maybe a little bit more about the lore. Elise and Renee, obviously you guys don't necessarily work on the same team, Elise being the game writer, and of course, Renee, you as the lead audio designer, but they do go hand in hand. And I'd like you guys to just talk a little bit more about what players can expect and what is the relationship between the music and the lore of this season.
Yeah, so to begin with, season 3 Resistance, it's going to be the story of those who are trying to fight back the Warmongers and their Order of Hawkers. So basically, as Nico briefly mentioned, we will have a new event that's called Tales of Rebellion. It's going to be a recurring event because as the Warmongers are conquering new fortresses, the people who are trying to fight them back are trying to reclaim those fortresses. So players will live the journey of those new heroes who are trying to band together, who are trying to understand what's going on with the Draconite, those crazy stones that have started to appear everywhere. Because the Warmongers, they are using them for their corruption thing, but also the rebels will try to find ways to use that same stone to do something else with it. And this is a storyline we are in the 3rd chapter of our journey for this year 4. I've always tried, to use the visuals, the game modes, obviously, but also the music and the sound. It's very important to us to create that ambience through also an auditory experience, I guess. So yeah, maybe Renee, you can add more on that because you're the expert here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Elise. Yeah, sure. In the sound department, we work with a lot of different departments for us to get our work done. And especially from a narrative perspective, when it comes to the main theme, we're basically trying to tell the story of the season in one song. So it starts off dark as a way to harken back to season 14 of the Warmongers, the darkness that the Warmongers have brought to Heathmoor. But then, as we talk about mentioned about the heroes who are getting together to rebel against the Warmongers, this is where the second part of the music comes in. It's kind of like it sounds like a journey of a hero, but you also hear a call and response with other instruments as the melody progresses, and which leads up to the third part of the song, where it all comes together and it sounds like people are getting ready for battle. And then after that, it ends off in a kind of a hopeful but uncertain note, a bit like a question mark, because they got together, but who knows what will happen next.
Oh, and there's also, I think, there's one instrument per faction in the music, right? If I'm correct.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And lastly, there's also like I remember there's a hammering thing happening, I think, in the music.
Yes, one of my sound designers had the brilliant idea of using the sound of a hammer hitting a blacksmith anvil as a percussive element in the song, and why that is, you'll have to stay tuned to find out.
I love it. I love it. You guys are professionals already in terms of teasing. I love it. So yeah, guys, I mean, if music is any kind of indication of what to expect, we've got factions that are gathering together, music that's, coming to a point where we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe those answers will come this season or maybe the next. We shall see. We shall see. Anyways, guys, stay tuned for the rest of the show because we're going to be detailing everything that has to do with Year 4 Season 3 Resistance. Guys, again, thank you so much for your time. We'll be right back after this with Audrey for the first time ever on the Warriors Den to talk about team identification and what that means for you guys as players for your customization. So we'll be right back after this.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the show.
All right, joined back now for the first time ever on the Warriors Den. It's Mrs. Audrey Laurent-André joining us to talk about the team identification update. Of course, the title is maybe not the most indicative because it has to do with actually customization. But Audrey, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and maybe say hello to the folks back at home that have yet to meet you?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Audrey Laurent-André. I've been working on For Honor for 5 years now. Joined the team in 2015, where I was mostly into user research, user testing. Maybe you heard the term playtesting before, so that's what I was in charge of. And since Marching Fire, actually, I'm in charge of UX, so everything regarding feedbacking in game, players understanding, all that kind of thing.
That's awesome. And of course, today we're going to be talking about a topic that did require a lot of testing. And that leads us to team identification update. Of course, this is going to be something that's of value for customization. So what can you tell us about this update in particular, and what's the benefit for the players?
So in a nutshell, I've been browsing Reddit for the past 3.5 years. And one of the things I read the most was, why can't I use my neutral colors? And now you can. That basically the gist of team identification is where we are removing the attacker, neutral, and defender categorization of palettes, meaning that right now you can use whatever you want, no matter the game mode, no matter the team, it's all free.
That's awesome. That's actually sick. That being said, I mean, obviously, you used to use colors maybe as a way to identify your teammates, and I'm sure you guys have seen that through play tests and stuff like that. So is there anything that's being done to kind of compensate for this added benefit for the players?
Yeah, of course. Is at like the very beginning, we had, like attackers orange and we had defenders blue. And we realized that when you had some kind of cross-color customization, it could lead to situations that were very weird. Or you could think that someone was an ally because he was, in your color, but in fact, no. And that's why at the beginning, we decided to completely lock the color customization. So now what we're doing is changing a ton of stuff in the UI so that people can recognize teammates and enemies even without their customization. And what we're seeing in the video now is that we're playing Dominion from the attacker side, but you have probably noticed that you're team blue. And so that's one of the most visible changes that we've done with this update is ensure that you are always team blue and your enemies are always team orange. So what this does is just streamlines everything regarding identification. If you see any element of the interface that's orange, you know it's an enemy. If it's blue, you know it's an ally. And what you're noticing as well is that to kind of compensate for this, you don't wear your team colors anymore. We have added an outline to all of your teammates that you can see from everywhere across the map. This basically entails if I see an outline, I know it's a friendly. If I don't see an outline, I know it's an enemy. A lot of games are doing the same. And something that we realized when we were testing is that some people really, really like having the outline, whether it be to know where people are or just to ensure that they wouldn't be mistaking allies and enemies. But some people really didn't need it. So what we've done, as you can see in the video, is that if you go to the option into user interface, you can disable that outline altogether if you don't want to use it in your match.
That's awesome. And also just in terms of breach, I'm seeing that obviously right now we're looking at the perspective from attacker, yes, which is blue, and also other elements of this game mode where you would be used to seeing stuff in orange. And from the tests, do you see that there's an adjustment period to be made here, or is it relatively simple for the players?
What I would say is maybe for the first or first game, it may be a bit, kind of not as usual because if you play attacker, you will see the ram in blue and you would see the gate, in orange, which is not what you're accustomed to. But from what we've seen, the adjustment is like pretty easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. And for Dominion, it's basically as if you were playing on the defender side all together, all along. Like that doesn't change that much.
Nice. Okay, well, let's take maybe a quick recap of everything that we just saw in this video. So coming back to this, why don't you give us a breakdown of everything?
Yeah, so the first one, the one I mentioned, you will always be team blue from now on. Enemies are always going to be team orange. The second is we really wanted to make huge visual differences between your allies and your enemies that weren't always based on color. So the outline, I talked about it. You can disable it if you don't want it. Your allies' name are going to be displayed all the time. And so this is also so you can spot your allies easily. And we also hope that it will help with coordination, especially if you are, you join matchmaking in a group and you want to know where your friend, your group with, where they are in the map. You can see it like just at a glance by browsing around you. We've also changed some of what we call the awareness rules. Awareness is what decides what we show in terms of UI at which moments. So right now what we're doing is you will always see the emblem on your enemies all the time, like where you would do before. It's just that the detailed information such as health, stamina is going to be seen only when you're engaged in fight. So if they're fighting you or if you're fighting them. It's log based. And finally, we color the health bars, like it's team color, just to reinforce a bit more that UI presence to help you identify, enemies and allies. So that's the biggest part of it. Of course, we had to make some adjustments on, previous feedbacks that were using outlines, especially the reveals, the war banner in breach or the offerings in tribute. They're not using an outline and a fail. Because if it's only outlined, then if you have an ally that's outlined for a feedback and that you use the outline for team identification, it gets confusing. So we had to adjust that a bit.
Awesome. And so I guess finally that leads us to next week on September 17th. What can players expect? I know that, all of these changes might, affect certain things. So what can you tell us?
So now that we don't have the need for attacker, defender, neutral anymore, and that everything is under one single tab, for each of your loadouts, for each of your character, it's the neutral customization that is going to be kept once the update roll out. So if at some point, I don't know, you have that super awesome attacker palette that you want to have as your default. Equip it on your neutral, and it's going to be carried over as your main customization when the updates rolls out.
Yeah, and just to be clear on that, just because I want to make sure I mention it before we forget, maybe, is that the color palettes themselves for attacker and defender don't go away, right?
No.
They're just all being regrouped into that one tab, the one that we saw from the previous one. So don't worry about that. You have all access to all of the color palettes. You just want to save the preset maybe before the update or something like that.
That's exactly it. You're not losing anything. What we had, maybe, you're not playing a duel or whatever, but all of the palettes that you have unlocked are already neutral right now. So just imagine this as we're removing attacker, defender, and all of your palettes are still in the neutral tab. It's just that we don't need a tab anymore now that we don't have 3 categories.
Nice.
The other thing that we're doing, and it's minor, but just because we want to promote the fact that now you can wear, the color that you want, and that is not having, it doesn't need to have a blue or whatever in it. We just changed what is the default equipped palette on non-customized characters. Sorry, like the one that you never played are going to have the radioactive decay, which is a gray yellowish palette that's going to be equipped by default. The previous default one, the exotic palette, is going to stay unlocked, of course. And finally, because we really want to celebrate that huge changes, we are releasing a brand new bright red cinnabar material. Because another benefit of this update that right now we can be like, we can go all over the place in terms of color for material. So expect more colorful material release as the year progresses.
That's awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, we also have a couple of other minor updates to UI that's going to be live for TU1 of Season 3 Resistance. So what can you tell us about those?
So if you recall, we started making some changes in the past updates. Like we've changed the matchmaking screen so that now you have description of the game modes. We changed the face-off also as well to make it a bit like clearer, less cramped. And so we are continuing on that direction with this update. So the first, and I think it's it's also a long requested change. The orders are now accessible from the pause menu, meaning that you can see them when you are waiting for matchmaking. You can see them in game. So if you need a reminder of what have I equipped or what do I need to do to finish my orders, you can do it now. You don't have to be in the end of game or in the world map anymore. So now it's accessible from your pause menu.
Awesome. That's a great quality of a life change. And is there anything else that players can expect for TU1?
Yes. So we have made some modification to the UI of the podium, at the end of the match. It's basically changed the camera frame in order to have, the character stand out more, and so that your emblem and your name stands out more when when you have won your game. And we've also updated the reputation icons for players who are above rep 100 and for players who are above rep 1000.
Wow. Rep 1000. That's some dedication to For Honor.
And
do we have any players?
We do have some of them. I checked because when we say, okay, we need to update some icons, I was like, do we actually have some players who are above rep 1000? And yes, we do have some dedicated players who've reached like that number of hours. Like it's just crazy.
Congratulations to them. That being said, Audrey, want to thank you so much for taking the time to describe all of these updates for us. We actually have an article that Audrey wrote on the forhonorgame.com website that you guys can take a look. It's detailing all of the things for Team Identification Update. For those of you who are joining maybe a bit late to the show, TLDR is basically customization is now freed up, because we no longer have color palettes restraining things, and therefore we can actually introduce some new materials, and you guys can use whatever colors you want. The way that you'll identify your teammates is through basically the UI elements of the game. Is that a fair resume for you, Audrey?
Yes, okay. It is. Use whatever color you want from now. We got you covered. So please feel free to do whatever you want. And we are waiting for you on the fashion side of For Honor now.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. Again, Audrey, thank you so much. You killed it for your first time. We hope to see you back on the Warriors then. We'll be right back after this, and we'll talk with Alex and Ed for maps. We've got a new map that we're going to showcase and some updates. So we'll be right back after this. Thank you again, Audrey. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
joined back now. We're here with Alex Boyer, level artist on For Honor. Welcome to the show, Alex. You got some news to talk about today, but first and foremost, how are you?
Thanks for having me back on. I am really good, actually. I'm super excited to be here. It's not every season that we get to present a brand new map to you guys.
Yeah, that is correct. And so speaking about this new map called the Belvedere, this is a new Wulin Arena map. What can you tell us about it specifically, and what was the plan with this one?
Okay, well, there's a lot to say about this one, actually. Well, first and foremost, it's the new Wulin Arena that will complete the roster of all of our training maps. It's set at the foot of this really majestic temple, and overlooking this really beautiful lake filled with landmarks here and there. Everything was created from scratch. We have new assets, new textures. It looks really phenomenal.
It really does. And what can you tell us a little bit about the lore? Actually, Clarissa, I think you have a little description that we could share with the players back at home, just to get a little bit of the context as to what we're doing in this map.
Yes, so we do have a map description. Here it is. Some lords and commanders across Heathmoor have unearthed ancient scrolls about architecture and started to build vast palaces in the Wulin tradition. After passing through the beautiful gardens and sophisticated pavilions of these palaces, one may discover a belvedere, a scenic arena that is primarily used for mock fights and the training of elite warriors.
That's beautiful.
Exactly.
And so, Alex, when it comes to these this Wulin Arena map, what can you tell us that sets it apart from maybe the other factions, cultures, and the scenery that you would get, let's say, from the Knights' perspective, from the Vikings' perspective, and the Samurai perspective?
Yeah, for sure. What really sets it apart is the richness. And I'm not just talking about like the richness in terms of like all the intricate sculptures and all of the carvings and the buildings, but also like the richness in the colors. Like we have a much more bright color palette when it comes to dealing with the Wulin. And I think players are really going to dig going in here and having these crazy duels. Speaking of which, this is going to be one of our maps that are going to be showcased for the new rank mode.
Mm-hmm.
The size of the arena will vary depending on which mode you're playing, so it's gonna change a little bit of that feeling and the strategies.
And this was a map that was produced from your team?
Actually, no. This map was completely done from scratch by our Chengdu team. If you guys didn't know, Chengdu have been working with us almost since the beginning, actually, creating assets and helping us build maps. And characters and a bunch of other things, but this time around they really wanted to take their hand in doing a map from start to finish, so this was the perfect exercise for them. They had done a bunch of prototypes that were really cool in the past, and we said, well, why not, let's go for it, give us a couple pitches, and we went with this one because it really caught us off guard of how majestic it is, and like it really gives us the feeling of serenity, and I think they really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. A massive shout out to the Chengdu studios that worked on the Belvedere. Alex, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk about this new map and showcasing it. And we're actually going to say goodbye to you. So thank you again. If you want to say a couple of words to the folks back at home.
Have fun.
Perfect. We're going to say hi to our good friend Edgar to stay on the topic of maps right now. The birthday boy, Edgar Orlando Oliva. How are you today? At the time that we're recording, it's actually Ed's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you.
To you.
Thank you so much. And happy birthday right back at you in the future.
That's true. It's the present, though, so it's super complicated.
Yes.
But anyways,
Happy birthday!
so many birthdays, but also so many updates for maps, right? So let's get into it. What do you have to present to us today, Edgar?
Well, as you can see here behind me, I'm hanging out in Sentinel. So we're going to be talking about Sentinel rework today. This is one of the maps that hasn't got a lot of love since we launched it. And I know from the community that it's one of the maps that probably needed to be looked into more. Just because, you know, there's the issue of camping in this map, obviously due to the ballistas, but also due to the distance between capture zone areas. Sometimes it takes a long time. to get to another area, and so you rather just stay put where you are and boost your zone or camp the ballista. So those are some of the things we needed to take a look at. And I'll say it up front that we did not delete the ballistas. That was not the point of this. We didn't want to just delete them and call it a day. But in fact, we wanted to make it so that the ballistas come secondary to map navigation and flow in terms of getting from one area to another. So we can start right now by taking a look at Capture Zone C. And as you can see here, the outline of the map, the capture zone, ends in the back area, and you have to run this entire hall all the way to get to point B or point A. And what we did here is we enlarged this interior portion a lot bigger, and now the capture zone area takes place on the first floor of this tower. And because that's more prominent, it's the more prominent area of the capture zone, we reduced the size of the back area, the balcony area, so that, I mean, it's still very comfortable to fight in, but most of it will now flow you towards the rest of the map, towards B and towards A. And you'll see here, this showcases that we removed the second floor from the capture zone area, and we also added these railings so you can't drop attack on people who are downstairs trying to capture the area. So the most important thing that changes is that you can no longer use the ballista and capture the zone at the same time. You'll have to make a choice. Do I want to go up, leave the zone open to be contested, or perhaps if you're two players of two teammates, one can stay below and boost, and the other can go upstairs and use the ballista and try and find some targets. So I think that presents a much more interesting dynamic to choices in this map. Instead of, boom, I captured the area, I'm going straight to the ballista because I can boost it at the same time. So yeah, I think this is quite a drastic change from what's on live right now. And speaking of drastic changes, we can now take a look at what we did. Here you see the ballista in the middle and these two boring towers on the sides. And what we did was, boom, we opened them up to zip lines.
Zip lines.
So these zip lines have two very important uses. One being that if you're on the ballista on the second floor and you don't have any target to shoot at, you don't have any easy means of going anywhere else other than downstairs back to the capture zone area you were already in. So now we allow you to move very quickly from the ballista to other parts of the map. Let's say if you don't have any targets to shoot at anymore. And also the other area in which these come in handy is that since we now pushed the capture zone outline all the way to that exit on the first floor, the opposing ballistas could easily predict where you're going to come out of. But because now we added two zipline exits, the opposing ballistas will have to ping pong their targeting between those different areas to kind of guess where you might be coming out of.
Yeah, I really like the zip lines too because it just gives more tools to the player to decide, okay, well, will I go into the ballista? Okay, I won't be trapped here anymore. So now I can either fight them or I can just use the zip line to get out really quickly.
Exactly.
And also it helps promote map rotation because they'll be able to travel faster from point C to mid and then etc. from there.
Exactly. So I think there'll be a lot less camping of areas that you're in, and yeah, like you said, promote those rotations. So much like the Warmonger here, who's running over to A, let's go take a look at the changes we made to capture point A. So this was one of the smallest capture zones in the entire game, I would say, and one of the most dangerous ones too because of the ballista and the ledge. And what we did here was really utilize that space in the back, and we doubled the width of those stairs. And so you see we had this path that was running behind that was really somewhat useless. And so that allowed us to really take advantage of that space and use it better for the capture zone, enlargement of the capture zone, which also allowed us to add a braziero in the middle, which not only serves as a pretty cool landmark, but will also provide you with cover from ballista fire if you're standing behind it. So
Just
positioning yourself.
Just to be clear, the braziero is the fire pit that's in the middle,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I learned that word. So
that's the word I learned that word when I got on For Honor, and yeah, it doesn't seem to be a word many people use.
Until now.
Yes. So yeah, I think it'll be a lot more interesting in terms of positioning yourself, and and this new revamped Capture Point A will also be there in duels and other game modes. So, speaking of which, we can take a look at duels. So these changes we made to this top portion of the tower area, which was unique in duels. There was a trap floor that would open up in between both characters, and since you already have a ledge on behind each character, we felt that having that trap floor was just overkill and didn't allow people to navigate comfortably in that fighting space. So now it'll be much more comfortable to navigate in that area.
Yeah, I can imagine it must be frustrating for especially players who are starting out, where with the chapter opening, it's like they'll both run up, one person guard breaks, the other person doesn't guard break, and then they just get thrown out, and then that's it. That's the 10 minutes, and you're like, what? I didn't even get to duel. So
exactly. And as I mentioned, there's already 2 ledges on that area, and so I don't think we really needed that trap floor there anymore.
Yep.
And we made one more change to duels. We can show the next video. Yes, so this was a giant area in the Defender Courtyard, and it was really big for duel, and so we moved it to the new revamped tower interior, which I think is a lot more interesting for a duel space than that giant courtyard. Which brings us to the next video, which is Brawls. Brawls had the opposite problem. You were in the interior tower, which separated both players, and now we moved it to the interior, to the Defender Courtyard, which is a lot more spacious and spawns players in close proximity of each other.
yeah, so the new update will allow those either choose between the honorable 1v1s or decide to do the regular 2v2 brawl, whereas in the previous one, like you're already stuck in that promoted 1v1. So.
Yeah, it was a pretty awkward space for a brawl, so we felt like opening it up and having the players in close quarters would be a lot more appreciated by the community.
Yeah, plus also the really nice thing about moving the duels to that interior is that it also helps those who are still getting used to Dominion get used to fighting in duels in that space too.
Yes.
So it's like a nice segue from like, okay, you're going from fighting, duel, brawl. If you go into Dominion with people and you know you're more of a fighter than objective of capturing, then you can use that space to your advantage. So it's a very nice touch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's it for Sentinel, but are there other maps that have updates that are coming to Year 4, Season 3?
Yes, so Sentinel is our centerpiece major rework, but we also took the time to make some smaller improvements on other maps, which I think the community will appreciate a lot. On Temple Garden, we made some changes to the interior of the tomb area. We removed some doors. And we also removed some of the torches that were near the pillars that people would use to kite around a lot. So hopefully it will alleviate some of those issues. And the other one is on Harbor. We closed off a ledge that was near mid lane, which is already a pretty dangerous area. So we felt that would be a lot healthier. And in Gauntlet, we made a small change to Capture Point C, I believe. And you'll just have to play to see the rest of them.
Nice. And so again, guys, if you guys want the full details of all of those changes, including Sentinel, of course, you can visit our website, forhonorgame.com, to visit the patch notes. We'll also have an article on Team ID, the update that Audrey gave us beforehand. So if you guys are a bit late to the party, you guys get to see all of that good stuff. Edgar, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to explain everything to us. And of course, happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back after this to talk about the new event, Tales of Rebellion, with our good friends Will and Yuri. Thank you again, Ed.
Cheers, everyone.
All right, and joined back now, we've got our good friends Yuri and Will to talk about the Tales of Rebellion event. Of course, we've been kind of hinting at this all throughout the show, and now we'll get the chance to talk about it. First and foremost, welcome to the show. How are you guys today?
Not bad. Will pointed the wrong way, but
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yuri, you don't have to be this way, really. I know that you're right.
I was born this way. I'm sorry.
Will, so what can you tell us? Like, maybe give us a little bit of an introduction. And I know that we're going to take a look at a little trailer before you get into the details of this event.
Yeah, exactly. So first, hello everyone. I'm very excited to show you the new event we've been working on. It's a bit different from our usual events. It tells a story over multiple weeks, and you'll get to participate in telling this story over time, week after week. So maybe we can watch the trailer now, and we'll come back to talk more about it.
I like the plan. Let's do it. Take it away, Max.
You've started a rebellion, haven't you? Well, I've got a plan. You help me break in. You reap some draconite. And I'll forge a little something for you. Come, warrior. Let's get rid of these bloody tyrants.
All right, well, there you have it. You get a first taste for this event. I know that it was a quick trailer, an awesome trailer. Shout out to Seb and I think Mathilde who work on this. I apologize if I make a mistake on that one. But that being said, can you give us more details? Obviously, we get a sense of what's going on, but let's go into details for this event.
Yeah, sure. So first, Tales of the Rebellion is a PvE event, meaning you will fight against AI all the way through. And it's also, like we mentioned, an evolutive event. You may have seen some different chapters. Every week, you'll get to play a different part of the story and a different chapter/activity. We can go to the next slide.
Cool. So here's the narrative of the event, which I will read out. The Order of Horkost imposed a regime of terror and left many scars across the world. The samurai would be the first to take up arms and resist against this new enemy. An alliance was sealed between Goemon the Ramusha, leader of the Maya Rebellion, and Ilma, a mysterious blacksmith. Together, they fought to reclaim a samurai fortress and made important discoveries about the Draconite, a new source of energy for all warriors in Heathmoor. Great! So, we saw that it looks like there's maybe 3 different game modes, or maybe just one. So, go ahead, William, take it away.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have 3 different game modes that take place over 3 different weeks. And you can see on the screen right now. All the game modes are PvE, like I mentioned. And if we go to the next slide, we can see that in this event, all the activities are taking place in the Overwatch map. And as you progress through the weeks and the story, the map also evolves with it. We can go to the next slide to take a deeper dive into the first activity you'll get to play on September 17, Rescue. In Rescue, you conquer zones and protect Ilma, the blacksmith, from the warriors of Arcos and reclaim the fortress. It's a new version of the Emperor's Escape game mode, which was introduced in the Zanhu event last year.
Yeah.
In this game mode, basically you fight hordes of NPC, in this case the Samurai Arcos. And what's special in this version is that Ilma is your only healing source, so you have to protect her with your life. Let's take a deeper dive and check the gameplay video. So as we start with the face-off, there's an ominous figure in the background sitting on the throne. We'll talk a bit more about that later. So as you can see right now, Overwatch is in ruins, and the Warmonger influence and the corrupted Draconite is everywhere. Ilma, on the screen, is a powerful character that will help you push back the corruption. And as you can see, she has a healing AoE around her. If you stand into that green circle, you will get healed. She's always staying behind the front line, so you'll have to split into groups to either capture the point to move forward or protect Ilma from the hordes of enemies. Ilma can fight, and she will use a powerful war cry when you capture a zone that will kill any enemy alive, and liberating the way forward, as you can see right now. But the Warmonger forces also have some surprises in store for you, with special enemies empowered by corruption. Be careful, as they are stronger than the other enemies. So we invite you to jump in the Rebellion now and play Rescue, as it's only available for a week, starting September 17.
Yes, so this will be at the beginning of when Resistance launches, starting next week. So jump in and play. It'll be exciting. Great, so what can you tell us about the next one, Pillage?
So the week after that, we'll talk about Pillage, the activity of the week after that. So in this one, you have to secure the Draconite before the Arcos. So we know that the Draconite is a crystal, it's red, and we know that the Arcos are actually using it and corrupting it to become a bit more greenish, and it's the source of the Warmonger power. Now we have regained part of the map, and it's time for us to go secure as much Draconite as we can, so that we can also have that power. We kill soldiers to collect Draconite, then we bring it to deposit points to secure them. Once you have enough Draconite, you put the enemy team in breaking. It's a new version of the Soul Rush game mode that came out for the Hitokiri event, I believe last year as well. The more Draconite you have, the stronger you are, because it unlocks your feats. But in this version, you will the Draconite you carry only scores you points if you deposit them. Whereas before you could just hold on to them, the souls, and you would be fine. Here you really have to deposit them for it to count. So you have to make the trade-off. Do I want to stay powerful, or do I want to take a risk and deposit the points so we can win the game?
So is it that when you deposit the Draconites, do you still have your feats unlocked, or does it reset?
It resets. So basically, if you want to have your feet back, you have to kind of go grab some Draconite.
Okay.
And then the trade-offs, if you keep it too long and use your feats, you could potentially die and lose all of your Draconite that you've collected.
Exactly. So when you die, you lose, I believe, 50%. And if you get revived, well, you keep that 50%. But if you respawn, you lose everything. So, But if you're downed and the enemies are here, well, it's going to be tough for your teammates to come and revive you. So be careful. So as you can see right now, when we kill the little mining soldiers, we gain Draconite, we gain Renown, and as you can see right now on the screen, when you amass enough Draconite, you enter a state where you gain more Draconite per kill of soldiers, but you're also visible to the Warmonger forces anywhere on the map, so be careful because you're now a target.
And as a reminder, because the difference between this and Soul Rush is that Soul Rush was PvP, but now we're playing against AI. right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much it for pillage. So again, help gather Draconite for the fight to come in the last week. It's only available for a week starting September 24. Now, I'm very excited to talk about the last activity in our story, Overthrow. It's time to confront Yato, leader of the Samurai Arcas, the one you've been seeing sit on the throne in the face-off in the previous videos. In this game mode, we have to defend Ilma while she forges a powerful Draconite weapon, and it's the only way to defeat him. So I'm very excited to say that it's a whole new PvE game mode, where we have Ilma in a forge, working on a weapon, and we have to protect that. And once the weapon is created, we use that weapon to defeat a boss. So let's check a bit the video. So Yato is hiding safely under a shield of corrupted Draconite, as you can see on the screen right now. It's the cocoon-like thing like this. He's completely invulnerable in this. To kill him, we'll need the help of Ilma, and using the resources we gathered in the pillage activity, remember the Draconite we were talking just before, she's forging a new powerful weapon that will help you take down Yato. But you have to defend her. So as you can see right now, she stops working if there's enemies entering the zone. Once you kill all the enemies, she will go back to work on the weapon. Once the weapon is completed, you'll be able to grab it and go attack the boss. We really want to keep the boss battle a mystery, so we'll stop here.
Awesome. That's really cool. And so again, like in terms of the progression that we're talking about, you start by rescuing Ilma, and then after that you go and collect the Draconite needed to forge this weapon for the final boss battle, which will remain a secret.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not really rescuing Ilma, you're helping her rescue the fortress that's been taken by the Warmonger forces. But then you kind of you amass the resource, like you said, and then using both the territory that you have conquered and the resources you have pillaged, you are able to take down the leader of the force, the Warmonger forces, the Orcos, in the area. Yato.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and again, Overthrow will only be available for a week, starting October 1st. So I hope we gave you a good sneak peek into what the activities are going to be, how they are going to evolve, and I hope you're all hyped to try it out, and let us know what you think.
Perfect. Well, thank you, William, for explaining the game modes. I'm also personally really excited, especially Ilma, the blacksmith, which also relates back to what Renee was talking about earlier on with the narrative, or at least with the music, where you can hear the blacksmith anvil. So really, really exciting stuff. But also, let's get into the realization in game. So Yuri, what can you tell us about the realization that's coming in for Resistance?
So for the Resistance, we have this wonderful menu. That's going to be available during the event. So we have our heroes plotting against the Warmonger, and we will find out what will happen. So that is going to be available during the event itself. So this is just during the regular face-off. We're going to just get to see some more of the wonderful key art that's animated. But when there's the actual event, which I think is coming up soon, we're going to get to see that ominous figure in the background, which is Yato, the boss that we're going to face in the third round, which we purposely kept him a little bit mysterious, and we just really want you guys to find out more about him later on.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. But also including the Tales of Rebellion is the free event pass, which also includes really awesome battle outfits, mood effects. So can you give more information about the event pass?
Yeah, so yeah, these battle outfits have some really, really cool stuff. happening with them. You have the Draconite, which is in this really bright red, that is actually being surrounded by these green waves that go around the outfit in patterns. It's symbolizing how the Draconite is spreading across the world. And I honestly, I think it's the contrast between the two colors is very, very interesting, and it creates for a very, very interesting pattern. We also have the ornament that is really, really interesting because it changes colors depending on whether you're an attacker or a defender once you equip it. Yeah, so it has a balance of the Draconite in the center with the flowers on the sides. It's very interesting. And we also decided to get inspired by the Draconite itself to create this effect. So if ever you felt like there wasn't enough Draconite on the map itself, or you wanted to envelop yourself with all that power, you can do it with this really cool effect that blends really well with this event.
And it's really nice with the red and green because the red Draconite is I guess the resistance is trying to mine, but the Order of Horkos will try to corrupt it and make it turn green, which is why that's how the Draconite's corrupted and such. So it's a very nice take between one item that can be corrupted or pure, I guess.
It has a really cool sense of duality going on with the color scheme. It's a very, very fun event going on here.
And how it will end, we will not know. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time about this event, Tales of Rebellion. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to say? Are we good to go?
So personally, I want to thank again everyone that worked on the event and made it possible, basically. So thank you, everyone. It was awesome.
Yes, a huge thank you to you guys and your teams that worked on this. Tales of Rebellion starts next week with the first activity, and then the other two activities, which subsequently happen each week after. So you guys get ready for that. Ilma needs you, and we'll see how it all ends. Maybe more answers to come beyond this season. Okay, guys? That's how that works. All right, guys. Thank you again, and we'll be right back after this. I believe... What are we doing after this?
After this, it'll be customizations and battle pass.
Okay, so you're sticking around. Yeah, maybe you're sticking around. All right, thank you, Will. We'll be back with Yuri hopefully and Andrew. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
And we are back for the last segment of our show, and it's not for the least because we've got Andrew and Yuri that are going to talk about customization for Year 4 Season 3. How are you guys today, and welcome to the show?
I'm doing fairly well, yeah.
I didn't ask, but thank you, Yuri. Andrew, how are you doing?
I feel free today, finally.
Why is that?
Look at me. Am I attackers or defenders?
I can't tell.
Doesn't matter now.
Because it doesn't matter.
Team identification. If you missed the first part of the show, there was a hell of a recall. This guy's a professional. Speaking about professionalism, let's talk about Year 4 Season 3's customization when it comes to not only the Battle Pass, but we also have regular drops, new armor variations, new weapons, of course. But can you tell us a little bit more about the theme in general? And maybe not just only for the Battle Pass, but also the regular drops?
So basically, Warmonger has arrived from last season, and now their corruption has spread it, and now we need to find a way. The warriors need to find a way to survive or fight back. So they will be kind of uniting, and season 15 TU1's theme will be based on the herbalism, purification, and divinity as the visual theme. You'll see a lot of design based on this theme, like nature and divinity, and then to contrast from the last seasons, so there, which is the corruption, you will find the season design very sleek and kind of pure, and throughout the season you will witness some factions kind of helping each other to fight back the Warmonger's power.
Very good. And so that being said, do we go straight to the showcase, you think? Anything else, Yuri, that you wanted to add?
You said it perfectly. I wouldn't dare change a word.
Excellent, excellent. I wouldn't either. So let's get right to it. Let's go to the showcase of. We'll start off with the armors because that's probably the most important thing for certain of our players. So let's get right to it.
As you can see, well, not only the new variation of the armors, there's a kind of the main overall theme for like generally overall themes for whole character variations are it's quite bright. It kind of represent and also kind of represent the pureness, but at the same time it's kind of a contrast from what we had it before. So that will be kind of contrast from the season 14 and this season's.
It's really awesome. And so when you were saying that there's a little bit of like the factions that were helping each other out, do we see those in these variations?
It's starting to get to that point. Eventually you will see something more, but I cannot say too much about that at this point.
Okay, gotcha. And also a new variation for the Warmonger, as we can see here. That's
now
awesome.
She's the part of the knight.
Yeah, that's true. And now we're going to head into the Viking, if I'm not mistaken. Right. What can you tell us on that?
So basically, they are all quite the same. They have the more clean treatment on overall. Like there is a lot of white colors that was added towards every variations. It does feel different than all the previous presentation, because now I really feel each character is a personality by the posing.
That's true. That's a good point.
Oh, this helm.
Yeah.
So actually, the interesting fact on that one is that it's actually introduced in the key art, and you may be asking yourself why the Jormungandr is part of this resistance. Elise might talk about that at some other point.
I don't know if she actually brought that up, but then when we designed all those year 3 characters, not all of them were just the dark. There were variations of characters that kind of represent the light side as well. So he is the one of them in that design.
My boy Kensei looking so sick. Those pants. I've always said this, but what I love most is for the samurai is the pants. Like I would buy those pants any day of the week. I can't pull them off. I can't pull them off.
I'm pretty sure I have something similar to that too.
That's my retirement plan.
Oh, the Orochi looking shiny as hell over here.
This is one of my favorite overall variation. He looks very sleek.
Yeah. And now we're taking a look at the Hitakiris.
I'm pretty sure someone will kind of find where the reference came from. Some anime fan.
Oh! I won't say it. Oh my god, let's go! Alright.
Took you that long?
Listen, you know me, it takes a while for me to process things. Why do you think I'm so delayed whenever we have jokes on the stream?
I thought you were reacting to Nobushi.
Nobushi's great too.
Of course she is.
And now we're taking a look at the Wulin faction, of course.
Yeah, Wulin lines actually includes the old and new sets that we introduced in year 4, season 1.
Okay. This is dope. Dope. Insane.
Again, very elaborated armor designs as always.
I like the attitude that they have right now. Just like, don't mess with me, you know?
The pose actually adds another layer of it. So I'm really happy that we apply this the posing while we're doing the presentations.
Yeah, especially for those who are not necessarily, you know, are maybe new to For Honor, that don't know the characters in depth, or maybe they don't play all of them. Again, this whole thing is about, you know, showing character personality, whichever one fits your play style, but also, you know, just your general vibe. So having these poses kind of brings that to life. So a change that we haven't been able to do in the past, but now as we look at, you know, the Shaolin, like this is the embodiment of what they represent, just tranquility, and you get it from every sense when it comes to the other characters as well.
It's completely concentrated.
Just chill, you
Meditation.
know.
Yeah.
So I always admired the Shaolin because I have no chill usually, especially when I play For Honor, and it's something that I would love to have. Just look at it. It looks so tranquil, you know?
And the Nuxias. The basically previous one that we had it's more of a traditional dress inspired, but then the one that goes to the next were more of the armor, fully armor based ones.
Really nice. And again, just giving more options to the players, you know? Not everything is everyone's cup of tea, and you're just adding more to what you can do and what you like.
Exactly.
And again, with the team identification thing, for those of you who are late, you know, there's the materials that you can play with as well now.
Oh, yeah.
That will change everything, you know?
It will be more visible for sure.
Yeah. And finally, the JJ. Just a rustic looking fellow.
Unique mustache with the news as this JJ has a very interesting hat.
Yeah, very nice.
She's coming next.
Very nice. Oh, I'm liking this white mustache on the Zhanhu. Holy, that's imposing. That's actually intimidating.
Very nice scale mail, silver one, and interesting. It's kind of a high class, the academic type of helmet.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting one.
The mustache that color complements the actual armor. Very nice touch.
He looks wise guy.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, there you have it. So you have an overview of all of this stuff, but is that it for all the characters? I have a feeling you have something more for us.
No.
Do we? Do I? Am I missing
I don't know.
somebody?
I don't know. Maybe if we take a look at the next video, you can let us know. Let's go. Let's take a look. Let's take a look, shall we?
Let's move on. Yeah. In this season, we get the Aramusha. Aramusha is getting the new armor set.
Very nice. Very nice. So the lost straw that I see here.
Yes, it's quite unique that we use it for the character. In Japanese tradition, this type of straw were used to disguise himself. Since there are a lot of straw materials were often used in the structures and the buildings, or even you can see it in the environment. So it's kind of useful to hide and sneak in.
I see.
And this can see through the hat.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, my Siri just went off, but that's okay. We can keep going.
The design is very stealthy and very mysterious. That was one of the very important part that we were kind of emphasizing it. I mean, being faithful to his characteristic, but then designing something quite different than from his original set were quite challenging for us. And I think we did pretty good job on that one.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, the tattoo really sick.
You know, in a sense of the stealthy, you know, he's wearing the mask. You know, it's a very important to wear the mask.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Wear your masks, ladies and gentlemen. The Aramusha's doing it, so you got to do it. And it's also like social distance right here between the Aramushas, so it's perfect.
They do have a quite unique different hat designs for each. I think it's one of the size wise, it's one of the biggest one among all the sets that he already owns, and and also he has like those straws and the bare leg that he has it, and also there's a cool tattoos on top of it. The dress, the base setting of the dress is a very traditional, so that's another thing that you might be able to enjoy if you are more into that side of. If you prefer that side of the armor design, more historical based.
Very nice.
in the order, I think this is the actual default one. So this is the very basic one. So the color wise, it's very basic straw. But as you can see, there are different type of colors. Like there's a white ones, which is more of a pure one, and there's the other one that is kind of dark, so which kind of represent more towards the darker side.
Very nice. And again, with the pose that we have right here, again, the whole point is to be stealthy with the Aramusha. So this is a look at, the final set, and we'll have a look at maybe the overview of all of the different variations that we're introducing in Year 4, Season 3. But that's not it, guys. We also have the weapons that we want to discuss. So this is the look of the overview of all of the 4 different variations for Year 4, Season 3 for the Aramusha. But let's head into the weapons of this season, because we have those, and then we'll get into the Battle Pass stuff. So, Andrew, what can you tell us about the weapons of this season? Because we're coming back to that theme of, I guess, divinity, purism, and all of those things, as the continent tries to, counter what the corruption has been happening from the warmongers.
Well, today we will be presenting 2 different type of weapon sets, but this one is the seasonal weapon, and they both have a different approach to it. This one, which is kind of opposite to it. This one is more towards how can we translate the warmongers' corruption. We did it last time, but then it's a different take on it. When we were kind of searching for the theme, the word poisonous and the venomous came up. Mike, do you know what is the difference between the poisonous and venomous?
I do not. I feel like they're the same thing. What's the difference?
It could not be more different, Mike.
Oh, really, Yuri? Okay. All right. I was talking to Andrew, so if you don't mind, please, Andrew, go ahead.
I actually went through the net, and we're learning. I'm actually learning. I was curious, like it looks like the same thing, but there were difference. Poison is a toxin that gets into the body by swallowing or inhaling or absorbing by the skin. So that's something that you can apply through the skin, or something you
ingest.
You ingest it.
Okay.
Venom it's kind of specialized type of poison that evolved with a specific purpose. Meaning, like it's activated by the biting or the sting.
So it's much more I guess, like, imposing when you talk about venom, because you're talking about somebody had to do something for you to get venom inside of you.
Right.
As opposed to just me eating, like, some kind of food and I get poisoned from it or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm really hungry right now, as you can tell. I'm a man who likes his calories. So please continue on the topic of venom.
It was pretty fun that we're learning something.
That's true. That's true. So you knew this without any research, Yuri, or did you have to research that answer?
I did not use any form of research whatsoever. This was sprung up on me. I never saw it coming.
Okay, so you were just born with this knowledge. Okay, gotcha. All right.
So some people are like that, Mike.
Yuri, how do you pronounce two-handed the wavy blade with the German sword?
Oh shit!
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it.
Aren't you German, Yuri? Don't you have a German descendants, if I'm not mistaken?
Let's move on.
All right, let's take a look at the samurai weapons here. So again, coming back to the topic of Venom, when you say that it's based off of the corruption, because Elise at the top of the show was talking about Draconite, and obviously we saw with Yuri prior is that Draconite could be used, in different ways, and you'll see that in the event Tales of Rebellion if you guys missed that. So you're saying that this is much more the darker use of Draconite that is going to be used in this weapon set.
That is correct, but at the same time, it was just more of a visual representation, visual translation of it. So we were just using the kind of dangerous patterns from the poisonous or venomous animals, and we're using their unique color tones. So base are quite dark, but then there are accentuated, very vibrant colors to scare the enemies.
I see.
That was how we were creating and designing these weapons.
And if we come back to what happened last season, we were talking about and doing the weapon showcase when it was Tyranny, and we were talking about weapons that were like corrupted, like they were. I don't know how to describe it any other way, because they were almost grotesque in the sense that they were like, very, very bright green, decay, all of these things that like you're getting infected. And now it's kind of the other way, is that like this weapon possesses the infection itself, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. I like it. So it seems that we've taken a look at all of the weapons for Year 4 Season 3, especially, well, I should say for specifically the regular drop items. But now let's get into the Battle Pass. Of course, we have a new one for Year 4 Season 3. Yuri, what can you tell us about, the concept and also the content that's not weapon related?
Yeah, so we're trying to tie in with basically what Andrew spoke of earlier. We're going with a lot of nature tones for the outfits. Basically, the people are tired of the tyranny from the warmongers, and they're trying to find some way out of it. So everybody's going towards, most people are trying to find solutions outside of their regular culture. So we're seeing like some slight shamanism and heading towards nature and asking for druids to help them out in this time of need. So that's where the outfits and most of these signatures come from. It's just like invoking some kind of good to come out of like all of this negativity. We also have this effect here that you can equip on your character, which is the druids. The druids are literally coming towards the heroes, and we have two sets here. So they're supposed to be almost like a twin druid. So it's pretty cool that you have like a nice variation between the two. You have one that's a little bit more fall colors, and you have one that's more summer. And what's fun about it is that you have like they have a lot of nice subtle changes to them that brings a lot of variety to our characters.
That's really awesome. And of course, there's a few items that are in here that are not necessarily all about that. We saw a couple of those signatures that we saw where the Jormungandrs is drinking a pint of mead, I would assume, and stuff like that. So that's really cool. And then finally, can you tell us a little bit about this execution that we're seeing right now?
So yeah, again, the animation team just thinking outside the box. They thought it would be really interesting to have the druid inspired from the druid and all of the things that we were creating. They figured it would be really cool if the druid actually had some kind of power to bring you back into nature. So we have the metamorphosis execution where you literally turn your victim into a shrub. So it just everything from this set meshes in together so well. It looks really wonderful, and I mean the effect combined with a lot of the emotes that we've shipped out in the last year, it just goes really well together.
That's awesome. And again, for those of you who might be joining us late, this is part of the Battle Pass for Year 4 Season 3. So that'll be available on September 17th. That's next week, next Thursday. So Andrew, I know we saw a little bit of the content when it comes to the weapons. What can you tell us? And we'll get into the showcase right away, I guess, of the weapons for the Battle Pass. But what are they all about?
Yeah, so basically, as you briefly saw in Yuri's presentation, these are the Battle Pass weapons. The symbol is overall symbol is the flower of air. I think it's related with the herbalism. It's the godness of healing, or the forge of the godness. There's many type of god that each culture has it, and we kind of followed up with each culture. But then that will be showcased throughout the different type of battle outfits. But this one is a more specifically for the flower of air. So materials, as I said, everything's kind of pure. So we were kind of using the silver or the ivory marbles, or also something that is quite unique that you can see it from each weapons or the shield is it's this green brown stone, which is called the Bezor stone. I think if you are a Harry Potter fan, you might know what I'm talking about. It's the stone that has the people believe that there's a healing power in it. So we were kind of researching many different cultures to see what are the things that relate with the healings. So these are the ones that we added. Also, based on the nature, the elvish patterns were quite interesting to edit into the design. So that was we added for the patterns, also the colors. So the color wise, there's a white, the silvers and green and the brown and the pure blue. Sometimes the elvish gold was used to create the weapons.
And it pulls off like a very natural look. And again, you mentioned I'm sorry, the name, I can't remember exactly how you pronounced it. What was the flower's name?
Air. I'm not
Flower
sure
of
if I
air,
pronounce it. Yeah, is correct. But then yes.
So I guess there's also the Rose of Horkos that we also introduced last season, and there's quite a contrast because the Rose of Horkos is what the Order of Horkos and the Warmongers have introduced in terms of the corruption that they've spread and all of that. And again, the whole thing about this season is that we're trying to balance and have these two forces that are kind of going against each other. And this is the counter of this, I'm assuming.
That is correct. Like last season, when you were seeing there's a lot of rust and damage and the wrinkles and some things are spreading, this is more pure, clean. I think this is one of the, I would say the more newer, is that the right way to say? But it's not used.
I see what you mean.
Most of the time when we are creating designs of the armors or the weapons, there are always some damages, there's always some dirts, but then this is something that it just came out of
the freshest.
Yes, freshest.
The freshest. I see.
So
just out the oven.
You can exactly see the contrast from the previous ones. Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. And again, Yuri, you were talking about the content that has to do with the that's not weapon related, and I feel like these fit so well together, and again, through that concept of staying pure, the divinity, and trying to heal yourself through things that you don't necessarily understand because of all of this corruption that happened because of the warmongers.
Yeah, there's a really nice juxtaposition between everything that we're offering this season, I find. So you have like this side of purity versus the side with the corruption. It really allows you to find a lot to customize your character with the theme that we're offering. It's very nice.
And it's a shame that a lot of this is going to be covered in blood because it's just so beautiful.
This is stain resistant, I'm sure.
Easily washable.
Machine washable.
So now we're taking a look at the honestly, like when we look at this, it's again I'm always shocked and surprised to what extent we're up to our 15th season in For Honor, where we have regular updates and new content that's added, and it's really just for me as a fan of video games, I'm really impressed to what extent you can differ these at each time. It's really a unique flavor each time, and again, some people enjoy the edgier side of things, but we're looking at something that's kind of a brand new take and also that fits with the season and the theme.
That's our goal. Every season we wish you guys have a different type of experience. We wish you to like not it's only for just the one type of a person. It's like we would like to spread it enough so everyone can enjoy. And this is just the one part of the visual difference.
And I don't know about you guys, but like I feel like as you keep playing the game, like your tastes evolve as well. Like I remember like I always wanted to be like super edgy at first, and as I continue playing, your change and your palette for these things changes. So it's really cool.
Yeah, especially with now the team identification, we unlocked even more colors.
That's so true. That's so true.
So I'm really excited, especially when especially with the materials, because just like colors really make a difference.
Yeah. It's all about the fashion, and I know Andrew that you are the king of fashion for Honor, so this is great stuff. So now, lastly, we're taking a look at the Wulin faction. Starting off with the Tiandi.
Mm-hmm.
again, what's cool about it, it's not just the going straight towards the each cultures. It's not, you might not recognize this as a Chinese weapon. You can, the theme is kind of overwhelming. It's kind of cover everything to unite the whole sets.
Yeah. And a reminder that this is all part of the Year 4 Season 3 Battle Pass. Again, this is going to be live on September 17th, which is next week. I know a lot of you guys are joining us today, maybe after UB Forward. Our season starts September 17th, where all of the content and all of the things that we discussed today on the show are happening next week. So again, when it comes to this is Battle Pass content that we're covering and just wrapping up in terms of the show today. And this is the last weapon from the Zhanhu, I believe. That's right. There you have it, an overview of all of this stuff. This is fantastic, again, from the Battle Pass. Andrew, Yuri, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I know it was a pretty long segment, and Yuri, you've been here with us for the Tales of Rebellion as well. Again, maybe for those of you who missed it, this is pre-recorded, so we're going to wrap up today's show. Say thank you to Andrew and Yuri. Again, always a pleasure to talk to you guys. I hope you enjoyed your time.
I always do.
Excellent. We'll see you guys next time. And there you have it, folks. That's the end of today's show. Again, it was a long one, but we had a lot to talk about. How did you feel, Clarissa?
Honestly, I'm really excited because, well, one, with the new season, it's more, we learn more about the lore. We're like, it's just really exciting because we have also new content as well with the Battle Pass and the armors, but also for the competitive scene because we are finally launching the Dominion series. So, and also map improvements, but there's just a lot, especially with the given circumstances at the moment. So I feel very appreciative to be part of a very passionate team. So, but how about you, Mike?
I couldn't agree with you more. I was just going to say, there's so much to, discover throughout this season, and there's certain answers that are going to come next season, which is awesome. So I want to say thank you to everyone, of course, watching back at home. Some of you might be coming from UB Forward, so it's a long day of watching stuff. We've given you Twitch drops, hopefully, for your troubles, and also the information that's coming up for next week, September 17th, the start of Year 4, Season 3, Resistance. So, you guys could play your part and, get all of that experience of the new content, Team ID, the event, all of those great things. A huge shout out to everyone who joined us today and to make this possible. There's one fellow that I would like to say thank you who's listening to us right now as we have a pre-recorded show. It's Mr. Maxime Proust. So a huge thank you. Thank you, sir. You're listening to us and you're talking to our ear right now, so don't whisper anything bizarre as you normally do. But that being said, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you when we see you. Go out there and enjoy the season starting September 17th, Year 4, Season 3, Resistance of For Honor. Take care, guys. See you next time.
Huh.